Near the endosteum, we can see the inner circumferential lamella. This is endosteum, inner circumferential lamella. This spherical or rounded structure is called Haversian system or osteon. This structure consists of concentric lamella surrounding a small Haversian canal. Haversian canal consists of blood vessels, connective tissue, and nerves. At higher magnification, we can see the Haversian system or osteon, concentric lamella surrounding Haversian canal. This is Haversian canal. Concentric lamella. Between and within the lamella, we can see the osteocytes. Each osteocyte is found within a single cavity called lacuna. Osteocyte, lamella, Haversian canal, the whole structure called osteon or Haversian system. This canal is called Volkmann canal. Volkmann canal connects between two Haversian canals and not surrounded by concentric lamella. Between the Haversian systems, we can see irregularly shaped lamella called interstitial lamella. Interstitial lamella. Osteon, Haversian canal, osteocytes, Volkmann canal, surrounding each osteon or Haversian system, we can see lightly staining area. This area is called cementing line. Consists of non-cellular material. Cementing line. This is periosteum, outer circumferential lamella, Volkmann canal, osteon, Haversian canal, concentric lamella, osteocytes, interstitial lamella. From inner surface, we can see endosteum, very thin layer, and inner circumferential lamella. This slide is stained by silver stain. Any question about this slide? واضح طلاب؟
الصوت
الشاشة الشاشة تغوش عبالك بالتصوير. ما يفيد. شنو؟ مو من الإضاءة.
At higher magnification, we can see the osteocyte. Osteocyte has cytoplasmic processes extending through very thin cylindrical spaces called canaliculi. واضحة طلاب؟ canaliculi. واضحة؟ الكونسنتريك لاميلا هذه اللي تترتب كونسنتريك لايرز يعني دوائر متحدة المركز، هذه اللي تكون بشكل سلندريكال وثين، هذه اللي هي الكاناليكولي اللي housing cytoplasmic processes of osteocytes. تمام؟ Second slide, a section or a cross section in decalcified bone. Decalcified bone. Because of bone hardness, it is difficult to section by routine techniques. So the bone matrix is softened by immersion it in a specifying solutions such as EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, in order to remove the minerals. So this section is the cross section in decalcified bone. From the outer surface, we can see the periosteum. This is a skeletal muscle. This is the outer surface of the bone. We can see the periosteum. Periosteum consists of two layers. An outer layer of dense connective tissue with collagen fibers and fibroblasts. Bundles of collagen fibers and fibroblasts. The inner layer of periosteum is more cellular, consists of osteoblasts and osteoprogenitor cells. This is the periosteum. Outer layer, collagen fibers and fibroblasts. Inner layer, osteoblasts and osteoprogenitor cells. Bundles of periosteal collagen fibers extending from periosteum to the bone matrix, called Sharpie fibers. هذا إذا أشرنا بالامتحان يكون جوابكم Sharpie fibers. الكاركترستيك فيتشر شو حيكون جوابكم؟
Perforating.
Yes. Sharpie fibers or perforating fibers extending from periosteum to the matrix. This is the periosteum, Sharpie fibers. Within the bone, we can see the osteons. Each osteon has central Haversian canal, concentric lamella, and osteocytes. The transverse canal called Volkmann canal. Which canal is this? Volkmann canal. اقطع الكلام طلاب. From the inner surface surrounding the marrow cavity, we can see the endosteum. Endosteum is thinner than periosteum, consists of loose connective tissue with fibroblasts and osteoprogenitor cells. This is bone marrow tissue with adipocytes. Endosteum, Volkmann canal, Haversian canal, the whole structure called osteon. This is a cross section, مقطع مستعرض. The third slide is longitudinal section in decalcified bone. Periosteum, outer layer and inner layer. This is the bone matrix with osteocytes. This canal is هذا longitudinal section. ايش حتكون هذه الكانال؟
لا
Haversian canal. الترانسفيرز راح تكون Volkmann canal, Haversian and Volkmann canal. This is longitudinal section. From the inner surface, we can see the endosteum. This is Volkmann. This slide is stained by hematoxylin and eosin. The fourth slide is section in the membranous bone. This type of bone found where? membranous. Spongy or flat bones. In this slide, we can see the bone trabecula or bone spicules. In the center, we can see the matrix at the surface of the bone. We can see the osteoblast. Osteoblast cells are organized side by side like a simple epithelium. The shape of osteoblast depends on their or its activity. تمام؟ انتوا هذه ماخذيها بالنظري. When the cells are engaged in synthesizing activity, they are
bone lining cells.
cuboidal or columnar in shape. But when their activity declines, they are flattened and basophilia is reduced. When it تكون cuboidal or columnar, each cell has basophilic cytoplasm. Osteoblast. They are found at the surface of the bone. Within the matrix, we can see the osteocyte. Each osteocyte is found within lacuna. Between the osteoblast cell layer and pre-existing calcified matrix, we can see the osteoid. الأوستيوid هو عبارة a new layer of not yet calcified material. Osteoid. منطقة فاتحة بين الأوستيوبلاست cell layer and calcified matrix or pre-existing matrix. Osteoblast, osteoid, osteocyte. The third type of bone cells is called osteoclast. This cell is called osteoclast. Osteoclast is very large, motile, multinucleated cell. Osteoclasts lie in a cavity called Hauschip lacuna. Osteoclast, very large, motile, multinucleated cell. Osteoblast, osteoclast, osteocyte. هاي كلش مهمة طلاب ركزوا عليها رجاءً. Osteoclast, osteocyte and osteoblast. The lightly staining area is a newly formed matrix called osteoid. تمام? Any question about this slide? This slide is section in developing bone. We can see the epiphyseal plate. Epiphyseal growth plate is a piece of hyaline cartilage. In this section, we will examine the 5 zones. First zone
زونة باليوسف.
of this type of growth called the resting zone. Resting zone consists of hyaline cartilage with typical chondrocyte. This is hyaline cartilage with chondrocytes. This zone called resting zone. Second zone called proliferative zone. In this zone we can see the chondrocytes divide rapidly, forming columns of stacked cells parallel to the long axis of the bone. This is resting zone, proliferative zone.
proliferative. وعلى الشمال.
واضحة؟ خلايا تترتب بشكل أعمدة من الخلايا متراصة.
proliferative.
proliferative zone هذا كلش مهم طلاب السلايد. رجاء انتبهوا عليه. الفيرست زون هي resting zone عبارة عن typical hyaline cartilage. Second zone proliferative zone. We can see columns of stacked chondrocytes. Fourth
Epiphyseal
zone,
plate.
we can see the chondrocytes are swollen, accumulates glycogen. This zone is called hypertrophic zone.
hypertrophic.
واضحة طلاب؟ hypertrophic zone. Chondrocytes are swollen and accumulate glycogen. This zone is called hypertrophic zone. The fourth zone is called calcified zone. Chondrocytes are dead by apoptosis. Calcified zone. The last zone or the fifth zone is the ossification zone.
Ossification.
In this zone we can see the bone tissue, bone trabecular with matrix osteoblast. Ossification zone, the presence of bone tissue. This is calcified zone. We can see the chondrocytes
Calcified.
are dead cells. Hypertrophic zone,
Hypertrophic.
proliferative zone, and resting zone. Resting zone consists of typical chondrocytes. Proliferative zones, we can see columns of stacked cells. Hypertrophic zones, chondrocytes are swollen. Calcified zone, these cells are dead. And ossification zones, the presence of bone tissue. This slide is stained by hematoxylin and eosin, except the first slide stained by silver stain. Any question? عندكم سؤال أي سلايد ما واضح؟ هذا مختبركم.